Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to be planting up a few more fall flowers in containers. So a few of the containers still have annuals left in them. Centerpieces, there's one that's completely empty. I think we're going to tackle 5 today. So this is one of the pairs right here, these little low urns next to the black bench with the beautiful Hartley in the background. You might remember I had the Newly Noir Coleus, a really dark colored potato vine, caladiums in there. I planted this lamium, the pink Chablis lamium, and then the plum dandy alternanthera. Now both of these, this is actually a perennial, and it usually looks really good even through the winter. It's kind of a semi-evergreen. This one's also really cold tolerant, so I left it. I think we're going to add in some Brunnera, maybe some hydrangea blooms, maybe some white pansies. It'll still be a very calming look, I think. And here's a look at the other one so you can see where I cleared out plants. But I love to be able to utilize some of these things that are already like grown and filled in and looking really beautiful. The other 3 containers are right out here. These 2 containers have juniper topiaries, which of course we will leave. That's beautiful winter interest. And I'm going to lean heavily on foliar accents for these containers. I've got some beautiful, this is called Mahogany Monster. Let me move it to the shade a little bit. You can see detail a little bit better. Mahogany Monster Heuchera. I've planted these before, and every time I can get my hands on them, I'm so excited about it because they're so beautiful. I've got some ornamental cabbage here, ivy, some sage, and then I do have white pansies, which I brought out because I know for sure I'll probably use some in those containers over there. I might pop some in here. Depends on how much I can cram in these containers. And then I want to replant the container in the middle of our raised bed vegetable garden, which everything is just like huge in here. We had a horrible windstorm this last weekend. Look at my poor corn. It's fine because it's about done anyway, but we staked it up. All I had at the time were these little wimpy stakes. Look at this. How lame. I mean, it kept him up for a little while, but you know, it couldn't hold up to the 50-mile-an-hour gusts we just got because it's so much taller than it was when I initially staked it. Anyway, I cleaned out this container, which I had a perennial lavender and an echinacea. I'll show you, they look great still, so I'll replant those out in the landscape. Everything did great in this container, so that's really nice. I know the drip is working, the container is beautiful here, so I want to put something in here that's bright and fun. And all of the soil actually came out of this one, so I need to go grab a bag. It was all big one root ball because I had a sweet potato vine in there, and you guys know how those grow. It had completely filled up this whole container. So here's the Sweet Romance lavender, looking full and gorgeous, and the echinacea, which I groomed kind of down to some really healthy looking leaves, but we'll get these planted out later today. I was also going to replant the chicken coop pots, but then I got to looking at them and they still look really good, and they're full of stuff that will last. So these pots have a triple decker juniper topiary as well, and they're surrounded by Helichrysum icicles, Lady Godiva yellow calendula, and then another of the plum dandy alternanthera. Aren't these so pretty together? The only thing I did pull out was a Supertunia Vista fuchsia, which you can tell kind of took up this space. It was like kind of shrouding the bottom part of this calendula. So I'll probably pop in some fall color right here, but I did not anticipate being able to keep so many plants here, which is great. Also, I wanted to show you this artichoke. Look at this. This is one of the water jug seedlings from the winter sowing, you guys. Isn't that amazing? All of these Rudbeckia are from winter sowing. The pincushion flowers are from winter sowing. On this side of the door, another artichoke from the same batch. These are volunteer sunflowers that came up. And there is another artichoke down here that actually did produce, and it's kind of withered up though now. I think it was too shrouded. So great luck with the winter sowing. And then the pot on the other side here has the same mix of plants. However, I found out last week that this pot wasn't being watered properly. There is drip in it, but somehow it's not working. So when we kind of clear this bed out, I'll figure it out. So when I noticed it, this plant was completely withered up. And then you can see what happened to this one. Like, it just dried up all the tips, but there's a ton of new buds all over this plant. So they are bouncing back. But this is where another one of the Supertunia Vista fuchsias came out. So I'll put something there. And I cannot bring myself to pull this out. Nope, can't do it. It's so pretty. This one has the luscious citron lantana, the jazzberry Supertunia, and then sparkling amethyst superbena and the Helichrysum icicles. Such a gorgeous mix. Now, I did not like the mix of the jazzberry with the fuchsia, so I'm actually glad to have that fuchsia Supertunia gone. This is much more of a cool pink than the fuchsia is. So they kind of clashed a little bit. It kind of bugged me all summer. Anyway, that's just how it goes. Like, I came out here thinking, okay, I'm going to clear out all the chicken coop pots, and then you just kind of decide to do something different and keep all of these wonderful looking plants, which makes me happy. Okay guys, so I'm going to go gather everything up, all my supplies, and we'll just start in and see how these end up looking. They're all done. I really like how each one of them turned out, and each set is very different. So this one, I ended up using pretty much everything, including the white pansies right here, just for a little pop of brightness. I think that was needed. But these mahogany monster heucheras are just amazing plants. They fill up a huge amount of the container right away, and they are perennial, so I can leave them in here and just make sure to keep watering this container, which I have to for the topiaries anyway. I might come through and wrap them with burlap, just a really thick layer of burlap sacks, put kind of like a jute twine bow around them to offer a little bit of extra insulation, but they should do great, as well as the sage and the ivy. So the only things in this container that actually may not, and they might, but may not come back are the cabbage, which came in a cluster of 3 planted in the same container. I just broke them apart and used them individually so I could get the smaller size. And then the pansies. So pansies sometimes come back, sometimes the cabbage make it all the way through winter. So we'll see how that goes, but I think it's a really pleasing look. Kind of like calming, I guess, to look at. There's not a whole lot of, you know, really bright color, which sometimes I really love that. Okay, let's look at these over here. These are Erin's favorite. I used a lot of limelight hydrangea blooms in each one of these containers, and I'm so glad that we left these here. The alternanthera, the lamium, it's like a bouquet right here of limelight hydrangea blooms. To the side there's the brunnera, and then I just used little white pansies and some cabbage just here and there wherever they would fit. Like there's a cabbage right here. So there's really not a whole lot of balance other than, you know, the blooms in the center. You can see this one a little bit easier. But the limelights are starting to color up really pretty. Little pansy right here. Here's the brunnera. This is a variety called Queen of Hearts, which I do have planted out in our landscape as well. So these, when we're done with them, will probably come out of the containers and we'll pop them out with the others. They can join the others out in the garden. And then around the back side, it's pretty simple, just cabbage, pansy, just to fill in the extra space there. And then the last one is over in the vegetable garden. So for my centerpiece here, we went out to the cut flower garden and cut a bunch of corn that has dried, and it looks really pretty. I did tie it together with a string really tight, kind of in a bouquet. I'm kind of thinking I need one more though. I can pop down in right in this space. It's not quite even. Once I had it in the container and anchored with soil, I cut the string and kind of spaced them out a little bit just so it was a little bit more fluffy. And then around the bottom here, I've got red snapdragons and orange pansies. Pretty simple, honestly, and a really fun way to use corn rather than just, you know, using them in bundles by your door, which I don't think I'm going to do this year. I may or may not. But I've been really enjoying having kind of a cleaner area around our doorways, and then maybe I'll just use corn as centerpieces like this around. So anyway, that pretty much does it for today's containers. I'm super happy with all of them and excited to see just something fresh out here. We had potato vine in this container as well as everything else. I think I mentioned that before. And the potato vine, because we've had one night at 37 degrees, it had a bunch of black leaves already, and it was looking like it needed a change. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.